All right, so in this chapter, we're going to create another blend material for this wall back here. So really simply, now that we have this material blend, this brick concrete, let's do what we did with the water, where we make these swappable in a sense. So really, we're just going to be swapping the textures out. So right click, convert to parameter, and I'll call this input A base color. Right click, convert to parameter, and we'll call this input B base color. Right click, convert to parameter, input A roughness, and input B roughness. Right click, convert to parameter, input A normal, right click, convert to parameter, input B normal. I'll grab all of my input B's and we will put them in a group called top layer. Okay, I'll grab all my input A's, put them in a group, call them base layer. Okay, I'm going to hit apply and let's open up the instance. So here is our instance. And we should now see we've got a base layer group with all of our inputs, our input A's. And we should have a top layer with all of our inputs B. We've got contrast and invert in here. So let's put them in a group. So I'll grab contrast and grab our switch, and group we'll just put base parameters. And apply. And now they'll be in a group called base parameters. Let's take our base parameter group and let me try something real quick. Let's grab these two, and I'm going to put in 1 for this and hit apply. I'm trying to see if that moves it up. Okay, so the naming of the group is just alphabetical. So if I wanted certain things in a certain order, we'll have to change the name of that, which isn't a problem. I could take, like, for instance, let's have my top layer be first. So I'll grab these guys, and the top layer, we could just name it 1 top layer or A top layer. Then I could grab all of my input A's and change that group to B base layer. And when I apply that, they should be sorted now alphabetically, where the top layer is on top, the base layer is next, and then I've got my base parameters here underneath. Let's change the base parameters though. I want to put those at the top. I should have named that A, but let's try 0. Yeah, so we got 0 at the top there. So now it's nice and organized. And even within these groups, if I want base color, roughness, and normal to sort differently, we can go and do that by simply grabbing the base color, setting its sort priority to 0. Grab the roughness, set its sort priority to 1. And grab the normal and set its sort to 3. Let's do the same here. So normal 3. Sorry, that should be 2. Apparently I can't count. This is 1. And then these are 0. Okay, then my switch and my contrast, I'm going to have my contrast be first. So I'll set its sort priority to 0 and the switch to be 1. To be a little bit smarter, more flexible, I probably should have done like 10, 20, and 30. That way, if I end up, this is 0, but I want this first, this should probably be 10. And this, if I wanted second, should be 20. Because then if I want something in between, I could set it to, 11. Or if I wanted something in front of this, I could set it to 9. So I've still got like some room, but we're okay. We're not getting complex with this here. And yeah, now I should have the base color, the roughness, and the normal. Base color, roughness, normal. I've got my contrast and my invert in order there. I can expand and contract these, and it's all nice and neat. Okay, so now that we have this functionality in our master and it's propagated down to our instance, we can quickly make another material. So let's go over here, and I'm going to want to create a material to blend all of these. So I'm going to grab, let's grab a couple of these here just to give myself, I'm going to grab an end on either end and a kind of a middle there. And then let's go into the side view or top view. And all right, let's start with the top view. And I'll just click and drag over all this. Then I'm going to hit Control and Alt and deselect a lot of that stuff and a lot of that stuff. And let's see that. I don't really know. I kind of lost sight here where that was. So let me grab one, and it is it's right here. So if I deselect those, that seemed to work. So I'm going to click in here and let's drag just there, and then with Control and Alt, it's going to deselect that stuff. Okay, there we should have the whole wall selected now. If we want, we could put this in a group. And let's just do that. So with these selected, I'm going to hit the plus folder here. And let's find the group that it got put into. And we can click in here, call this wall train back. And then when we need to select these, we can simply right click on the folder, select, and select immediate children. Okay, so with our instance here, let's grab the master, right click, and create master. And we'll call this material blend. Let's do brick and dirt. Okay, so let's drag the material instance on. and that will give us our other texture over there. But let's open this up and let's start to swap this stuff out. So input A, we want to put back these textures here. So we'll drag the base color in, we'll drag the roughness in, and we'll drag the normal in. Okay, so for input B, I don't really have anything, I don't think, that I want to swap out with input B. So let's go back to bridge. And let's find some dirt. So I'm going to select surfaces, and let's take a look here. Debris might work. Gravel, grass, marble, moss, sand, rock, soil. All right, let's try debris. Let's see what we have here. Construction or nature? Well, let's go with construction. And this is just going to be like kind of rubble. We might be able to do something like this, or like this dusty concrete, or even this rubble floor. But I'd really like to, let's do something else. Let's do, I'm just gonna type in mold. Let's see what we get here. I want surfaces. This is lichen covered rock. This is some more rock. Mossy rock. Mossy concrete wall. This could be interesting. Let's take a look at this. This could be interesting. Let's download this and import it. And the other thing I'm going to do is just type in moss. Okay, let's go to surfaces and mossy ground. This one here should do. Let's take a look. I don't like that there's these sticks in there and twigs, because that really wouldn't be the case inside. So let's take a look here. It's gonna be more sticks and twigs. Maybe one of these mosses. Really want kind of a darker moss. Mossy wall, that's kind of interesting. Mossy stone wall. Let's take a look. Forest moss, forest moss. Let's look at this forest moss real quick. This one. Okay, this, I think I like this. Just some moss here. So let's export this moss. All right, we can close bridge out now. And let's go find those mosses. So we've got the forest moss and the concrete wall. Let's just go straight with the forest moss. Okay, so for our input B, let's drag in the moss, roughness, the moss normal, and the moss roughness. I said roughness for base texture. Okay, so now the other part is, let's go back to the master, because I just realized we don't have a way to swap out our height texture. So let's right click on this, convert this to a parameter, and call it height input. Okay, I'm going to put this in the, I believe, base parameter group. Yep, base parameter. Okay, and let me zero that out because I want that kind of at the top. So let's change contrast and invert. And you see, that's why I was like, we should really give ourselves some room. So let's just bump these up another number. And apply. And now we've got our height input, contrast and invert up at the top. Let's change these base parameters to height parameters. So let's grab this, this, and this. It doesn't like something here, so we'll just have to change this to height. Change this to height. And this to height. Let's see if that got rid of, yep, it got rid of our zero base parameter. Okay, we'll apply that. And now we should have the ability to plug in that height. Okay, so let's make a height. So I'm gonna go to this texture here because this is our base and I wanna create that base off of here. So this is the height for this at the moment. I could try plugging this in. Let's try to plug this displacement texture in and see if this will work at all. Okay, something's happening, so at least we know something's happening. Let's reset that. And I just don't think that, again, this is going to be enough. We need more contrast from this. So let's do what we've done before, and let's export this and bring it into Photoshop. I'm going to export both of these. So Asset Actions, export to the desktop. These are going to be called Displacement 2K VB1. Okay. And back in Photoshop. Got roughness and we've got displacement. So I'm just looking for these textures. So there's the roughness. And displacement. There we go. So in the displacement, let's target the red channel, Control A, Control C. I'm going to hit Control N for new document, and I'm 2K by 1K here. Grayscale, I'm going to change to RGB color, and 8-bit, resolution of 72. That's good. We're in our new Control Shift V to paste. I can delete my background. And let's go back to the roughness. Control A, Control C, and then back to our new document, Control Shift V. Paste that layer right on top. So I'm going to hide the roughness. Call it roughness, and I'll call this displacement. Okay, and I can close my other two images now. And with our displacement, so Control L, and let's crank it up. Oops, what did I do there? I grabbed the midtones. Okay, so here are the holes. The black are the recesses. This white stuff here is like concrete kind of overspray. And we've got our bricks here. I'll just leave this kind of in the middle. Let's see. Let me undo that. All right, so this looks pretty good. Honestly, this looks good enough. If I take my roughness here, pull up the levels, drag this over to here. So I've got the brick, and I wanted to like use this. Yeah, I don't really need to use this. So I could invert this. Let me hit OK, hit Control I, and I could adjust the levels again. And this is just was helping me to create separation between the grout and the brick. So I could take this and do like a multiply and bring the opacity quite down. And this is just gonna kind of darken some of that. Multiply. Just gonna arrow through some of these. This overlay looks kind of good. It's just really separating and giving some depth to our grout there. So again, the overlay, here it is with none. Here it is with that. And I'm going to just bring that opacity really down. 20% I think looked good. 30% here. 30% in the opacity. Again, just kind of bumps it up. Okay, that's good. Let's save this out. Control Shift S. And I really should kind of name these better. This is brick concrete wall. Let's just do brick back. What did I name the other height? Brick height and water height. So yeah, brick back height. We'll save it as a targa. 24 bits. And I can close down Photoshop. And back in Unreal, let's import this in. So brick back height. And let's double click to open this. Sorry, let's select this material, open that, and in that displacement there, let's bring in the texture that we just made. Now, as soon as I apply this, we should have seen, I would have thought that we would have seen something. Um, so let's grab our walls and let's paint. So right click, select immediate children. Let's go into modes, mesh paint. Let's hit paint and then let's hit fill. Try swap color, fill. Okay, so it is working. Let's swap color and fill. And let's hit swap color again. And we should be able to paint here. Looks like we're painting on top. So let's hit invert. There we go, because I want to paint in between the cracks. I'm also going to bring the contrast up pretty much all the way. Yeah, let's bring it up all the way. Okay, let's bring my size down. And now we should be able to just kind of like fill in some moss in between these guys. Okay, yeah, at this point, let's go back to a bigger brush. And I'm gonna just kind of paint in a lot of this moss at the top. And the bottom. It's taking me a couple strokes here because I've lowered the strength so much, but that's really kind of what I want. Then let's bring that size down. And now let's we can spot check. So let's fill in the bottoms here. And I'm also gonna like fill in the corners. Like behind these pillars, because that moss is gonna get, you know, just in between these guys. All right, and we could just, you know, paint across some of this to get some just breakup of this. Break up that repeating texture a bit. You know, I'm just kind of tapping as I do the stroke. I can always come back with shift and just kind of click over a bunch of this stuff to kind of thin this out. I really just want to get it to where you can kind of see really nicely in between the bricks. Let's do the same over here. Let's just come back and dial some of this back. And I think with our lights turned on, this probably will look good enough. Yeah, looking pretty interesting. Okay, great. So, you know, now if I wanted to create another material, we can go to the concrete blend brick master here. We can create another instance, and we could do like, you know, brick moss. So we'll call this brick moss, right? And assign this guy. Open up the settings. I'm going to use my brick height. And then let's make sure our input A, or our base layer rather, has the brick textures, which it does. And then the input B, we're going to use those moss textures. So let's grab the the top layer. We're going to swap those out. Okay, so now on these guys, if we wanted, we could assign this material to them. Okay, and then we could simply grab all of these, swap colors, fill, swap color, and then now we can paint. So again, I'll get a little bit down here, and then I'll open up the instance and contrast and invert. I'm going to invert this to get it in between the bricks, and I'll pull up the contrast. And this is actually painting on top. So, again, if I want this growth to kind of happen on top of this stuff, I can do that, but I can simply invert it, and we can fill in between the bricks. There, that's painting on top, and the invert. Oh no, that's painting on top. Okay, that paints on top. This should fill in the grout first. Okay, and we can swap this out with anything. If I wanted, instead of moss, I could just do a different texture. Maybe this brick texture. So let's swap out the moss with that. And then, I've got this this different kind of brick texture here, which just gives us another look. It's a way to kind of muddy it up, and just give us just a different look. Again, the contrast. We could blend this stuff and invert it to give us different looks, but it's really going to be driven by that height input for the base layer. All right, so just another way to kind of vary up our materials and get some really interesting looks